Capital punishment. The state-sponsored killing of prison inmates is the ultimate, irreversible punishment for their crimes. Since the resumption of its implementation in 1982, the state of Texas has executed 560 people. Last year, Texas accounted for more than half of all executions nationwide. To date, in 2019, Texas is responsible for the deaths of 2/3 of all prison inmates, with more scheduled to occur throughout the year. The executions are assured through the use of a lethal injection of a respiratory depressant and paralytic, meaning the inmates suffocate and are helpless, as the primary right of human life, the right to live, is taken from them. As the national leader of this barbaric practice, the state of Texas sets a standard for the country. Texas needs to cease its implementation of the inhumane riddance of human, albeit criminal, lives.
Charles Brooks Jr. was the first person to be executed by lethal injection on December 7, 1982, Huntsville, Texas. On December 14, 1976, Charles Brooks went to a used car parking lot and asked if he could test drive a car for a spin. The mechanic working that day was a man named David Gregory, who accompanied Brooks to his test drive. During the test drive, Brooks picked up his partner, a man named Woody Ludris, and soon after they threw the mechanic in the trunk of the car and took him to a motel. In that motel, they bound Gregory to a chair with coat hangers, gagged him with tape, and then shot him point blank in the head. But after, Brooks and Ludris were both convicted of the crime, and neither of them would confess. Both men were punished. One was sentenced 40 years in prison, and the other one was death penalty.
And when we went in, I guess the jailer said that, okay, this is as far as you're going. Your father has requested that y'all do not see his execution. Specifically, I do not want my sons, I do not want my son to see my execution. So we didn't see it, but we got there like 10 minutes early. The execution was scheduled for, let's say, midnight. We got there at 10 minutes to midnight. So we're just sitting in the room talking. Then we see some reporters come in. We see some more people, witnesses come in. They go in the room and we're looking at our watches. You know, it's 5 minutes till, it's 3 minutes till, it's 1 minute till. Now it's like 5 minutes after. And we're thinking, they must have did it. It's like dead silence. Nobody's saying anything. And then all these witnesses that came in, they came out and they had their heads down, looking all sad, and then we knew. It was done, it was over with, but we didn't get to see him. And I remember my brother picking up a chair and throwing it, and we were trying to be calm, but we're like angry. We're angry because, hey, you just killed my dad. And I remember coming down the stairs, and it's like a throng of media. It's just media everywhere, and they got signs, kill him now, put the needle in his arm, and I'm mad. We're mad, we're 21, so we're a little rebellious. So we thought about going over there and starting a fight, with all these protesters. But then, police everywhere, and it wouldn't have helped. It wouldn't have brought anything back. It would have made everything worse. So we just left and went back to the hotel room, and instead of sadness at first, it felt more like shock. We were just like, did they really do that? Is Dad really dead? Is it done? Is it gone? And it was.
Carlos De Luna. In 1989, a man named Carlos De Luna, a Hispanic man with low income, was put to death for the stabbing of a convenience store clerk named Wanda Lopez in the chest with a lock blade buck knife. His execution went unnoticed for many years until a team at the Columbia Law School accidentally stumbled upon and decided to investigate his case. They found out that throughout his entire trial he pleaded that he was innocent, and even told prosecutors that he was not the one who committed the crime. He stated that he knew who the culprit was, a man named Carlos Hernandez. By no coincidence, they were the same height and weight, and some people would even mistake them for twins. Even De Luna's sister, Rose, got them mixed up. But how did the court rule Hernandez as a phantom, who simply did not exist? Just a figure of De Luna's imagination? 4 years after his execution, the Professor Liebman hired a private investigator for just one day. And at the end of that single day, he dug up uncovered evidence that had eluded scores of Texas prosecutors, defense lawyers, and police officers between De Luna's execution and his arrest, showing that Carlos Hernandez was no phantom. The investigators started to piece together all the evidence piece by piece until they put together that he had a huge criminal past, was an alcoholic with a violent past, and was known to always carry a lock blade buck knife.
Even though there are no fingerprints, no physical evidence linking him to the scene, he becomes the lone suspect.
December 23rd, 1991. A mysterious fire breaks out in the nursery of the Willingham residence. The flames soon engulf and destroy the entire home, taking the lives of the 3 children inside. The father, Cameron Todd Willingham, was found outside with relatively minor burns. Investigation led to the conviction of Willingham for arson and the murder of his children, and he was sentenced to death. During his trial, Willingham denied a life sentence in exchange for a guilty plea, maintaining his innocence. But recent studies have shown that the initial investigation was flawed, and that it was very possible that the fire that killed Willingham's children may have been accidental. Arson expert Gerald Hurst said there is nothing to suggest to any reasonable arson investigator that this was an arson fire. It was just a fire. Investigators had no scientific evidence determining the fire as intentional or accidental. Later, after Willingham was sentenced to death, it was found that a man who was in Willingham's jail cell with him lied to help the prosecutors convict Willingham. He told the prosecutors that Willingham murdered his children in an attempt to cover up domestic abuse. A few years later, in 2010, the court ruled that the state of Texas wrongfully executed Cameron Todd Willingham. Wrongful execution should not be a possibility. The destruction of human life is a travesty in and of itself, nevertheless when it comes unnecessarily.
In his arms, he began to drop to one knee, and as he began to drop to one knee, the little girl's arm just fell limp right at her side. Just went like a little rag.
I went back to the fire room looking for the children. At that time, Chief Paul was in there, and he had already located the children, but they were both dead.
Firefighters tried to save 2-year-old Amber, but she died shortly after reaching the hospital. All 3 children, Amber, Carmen, and Cameron, were dead. Their mother, Stacy, was Christmas shopping at a thrift store when the police told her.
In the blackened ugliness, there are remnants of a fire. There are remnants of Christmas as well. A melted Christmas tree with a few ornaments, a teddy bear still waiting for Christmas morning. And there are 2 parents who want this Christmas to go away.
The little girl was crying, "Daddy, Daddy." When I woke up, the whole house was in smoke.
Todd
Good afternoon, Tanya Sanchez. Can you give me a brief overview of what happened during your experiences with capital punishment?
I was probably about 19 years old, lived in Miami, Florida. I was friends with 2 of the people that were killed in the Gainesville murders in Florida, University of Florida in Gainesville. I went to school with Tracy Paulus, one of the girls that were murdered. I went to school with her from elementary school to high school, and then Manny I met in high school. And I don't know what to say. Sorry. Like,
Do you think where you lived changed your opinion on the event?
I lived in Miami, Florida when this event happened. And no, I don't think it changed my opinion.
What is your opinion on capital punishment?
I'm against capital punishment. I believe that someone should pay for their crimes, of course, but I believe in them sitting in a cell for the rest of their lives and, thinking about what they did and just living out the rest of their life.
In the upcoming future, do you think that capital punishment will be abolished, or do you think that it will stay long term?
I think it'll probably stay long term, just because of the opposition of it.